Tonight was the final episode of Monday Night Raw before Survivor Series War Games this Saturday in Chicago. And as predicted, we now have a 5-on-5 men's War Games match. Drew McIntyre will join the Judgment Day for one night only on one side. And on the other side, back for the first time in 18 months. He has been gone for a year and a half, and he will be back on Saturday. The Viper, Randy Orton. Randy Orton will be joining Team Cody for Survivor Series against the Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre. We got the announcement. We did not get the appearance. And I'm sure there are plenty of very upset people who waited 3 hours thinking that they were going to get a Randy Orton sighting at the end of the show tonight. And boy, were they left disappointed. I was not surprised, in all honesty, that they did not throw him out there at the end of the show. I thought that they might do what they did. But the key is that they announced Orton, and they didn't save the surprise of him coming out for Saturday. They had to do it the way that they did. It was a must. Now, it may not completely shut down the CM Punk chance on Saturday. There may still be plenty of those. But they had to do it this way because you had to cut that off before you got to Chicago this weekend. You did not want to give people the impression that there was even a slight chance that CM Punk could be the surprise partner at Survivor Series, because you would naturally have a lot of people thinking, okay, well, there's been a lot of rumors going around. We're in Chicago. He's a free agent. And there just so happens to be a spot open in the main event on Saturday. Gee, I wonder who it is. So it was necessary for them to do it in the way that they did, even though we didn't actually get to see him. And honestly, what it reminded me of was Linda McMahon making the announcement back in 2000 when she announced that Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to be coming back his first time since neck surgery, and he was going to be in The Rock's corner at Backlash in his title match against Triple H. And the entire building just exploded. Like, I've never in my life heard an announcement, including tonight, never heard an announcement before like I did when Linda made that announcement. Just the name Stone Cold. And the place went nuts, and they didn't play his music. He wasn't there. They waited. They saved him for the pay-per-view, so you didn't get to see Stone Cold. Well, actually, I think he was on SmackDown. He dropped a explosive on the DX Express. But the point is, it followed that same pattern. It's a smart way, I think, to keep people hooked and wanting to tune in on Saturday to see the event. It is kind of silly, I will say, though, that they ran the same exact angle on SmackDown on Friday night for the Women's War Games match. Like, to a T, except for the ending. Because what they did on Friday was you had Nick Aldis go over to Charlotte and Bianca and Shotzi and say, hey, you need to let me know who the fourth partner is going to be before this night is over. And they built it up all night long. It was only a 2-hour show. But they built it up all night. And at the very end of the show, Charlotte had to go make a phone call. And then Becky Lynch, I still don't know how she made it. I mean, maybe it just so happened that she was nearby, but there she was at the end of SmackDown on Friday night, in the ring, standing shoulder to shoulder with all of her partners. So I can understand people being upset if they thought Randy Orton would physically be on the show. After they just did the same angle on Friday and we got Becky, but here we didn't get Randy. Because Randy didn't want to fly into Grand Rapids. They were in Grand Rapids tonight. I'm sure he got on the phone, Cody did, and say, hey, Randy, I need you. And Randy said, look, Cody, I love you, brother, but I'm not coming to Grand Rapids. I'll see you on Saturday in Chicago. You're not getting me to fly to Grand Rapids and make a 2-second cameo at the end of the show. Randy Orton basically has fuck you money. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. And so that's why we didn't see Randy Orton tonight. But something that was very, very interesting is when they made the announcement at the end of the show. Cody's in the ring, and the Judgment Day is outside. Cody's in the ring with everybody, with Rollins and Zayn and Jey Uso, and he's dropping little hints, and he's mentioning, this person, had to do with my legacy, right? And then he mentions Apex Predator, and he says, the voices in my head, all but telling you who it was. And he never said the words Randy Orton. He never said the man's name, but the crowd was already chanting Randy for most of the night. So they knew. They knew from the opening segment. But the production truck, they cut to a shot of Jey Uso. who was in the ring leaning up against the ropes. And once it became obvious who Cody was talking about, we got a close-up shot of Jey Uso. And Jey Uso didn't have this look on his face like Cody did, that he was all smiles and he was all excited. No, he had a look on his face like, wait, what? Like he didn't know who it was that Cody called up, and he had some hesitation, as well he should. Because the last time we saw Randy Orton, the Bloodline was laying a beatdown on him, and then we haven't seen him since. And Jey Uso would have been a part of that. That introduces an interesting little wrinkle potentially now into the War Games match on Saturday, because how is Randy Orton going to coexist with one of the men who put him on the shelf in the first place? So it was a quick thing too. It was never acknowledged or anything like that. They were going off the air. But to me, that was one of the more interesting parts of the entire show, just looking at Jey Uso's reaction to the announcement of Randy Orton. So it is official. The Judgment Day will have the man advantage because Drew McIntyre pinned Jey Uso in the main event. So they will have the advantage on Saturday going into War Games. And look, the baby faces in the women's War Games match are very likely going to end up having the advantage because the way they're determining that is through a fan poll online. So, I wonder who's going to win that fan poll. So the baby faces will have the advantage in the women's match, which is why I think the heels are going to win. And the heels now have the advantage in the men's match, and I think the baby faces are going over in the men's match on Saturday. I thought it was a good show overall. Somebody, mentioned the analogy that I had used, the Oreo cookie analogy. I think I used it last week. I said I don't really care much for the creamy filling. I like the cookie. Give me the top and bottom of the cookie and I'm happy. I think it applies mostly to the show tonight, although there was a very strong in-ring promo segment in the middle of the show with Gunther and The Miz that I did enjoy. But this is, again, one of those shows where it was all about the beginning, it was all about the end. And in the middle, probably outside of The Miz and Gunther, it was a lot of stuff, but it was nothing that you had to go out of your way to see, or if you missed it, I have to go back and watch it before Survivor Series. No, as long as you saw the beginning and the end of this show, you're pretty much caught up on what you need to know going into Survivor Series this weekend. But on the whole, I thought the show was good. I thought that as far as them pushing the Raw stuff, there isn't a lot of Raw stuff on Saturday. You've got the men's War Games, you've got the Intercontinental title match, and you've got a women's world title match with Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark. That's it. You have, on the SmackDown side, they have women's War Games. They have Carlito and Santos Escobar. And is there one other match from the SmackDown side? I thought there was one other match for SmackDown on Saturday. So not a ton of matches on this pay-per-view. But the matches they had to push, I thought they did a good job. I thought the promotion was effective going into Survivor Series. But again, I can see where some people would be upset over not getting Randy Orton at the very end. I'm just glad they announced it so they can shut the CM Punk shit down. It might not stop some people from still thinking he'll be there, but again, it was something that had to be done. This is your Monday Night Raw review. It is November 20th, 2023. It is Thanksgiving week, so we're still a few days away, but I am thankful that you are all joining me here tonight. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. 400 likes is the goal for our Be the Booker segment later tonight. Super chats are open. There's some new ones. You'll see the word new next to the ones that are new in the description down below if you'd like to drop a special one or just any one that you want, big or small, whatever it may be, you may do so. And one quick mention here, WrestleRumble.com. Make sure you get your ass over to WrestleRumble.com because they have not one but two contests going on. You can get in on the Pick'em contest that they're doing. Winner take all. First place winner gets $1,000 cash. And then you could also enter the Madness contest. That belt right there, they're giving away a Macho Man Randy Savage Legacy Championship belt. All I know is that it is in a 40-pound box. So you are getting quite the belt. Get in on that. It's only $1 to enter the Madness contest. Just go to WrestleRumble.com and make sure you are a part of that. I'm jealous. See, I can't enter the contest. I'm going to be the master of ceremonies during the Survivor Series recap on Saturday night. When my review is over, I'll be picking the winner of the Macho Man belt, but I can't actually enter the contest myself, which kind of sucks, but you can. So make sure you do so. Let's take it from the top. Very Hollywood way of putting things. We'll take it from the top. Raw opened with Drew McIntyre already in the ring to explain his actions at the end of Raw last Monday when Cody and Jay had a shot at Balor and Priest. They were wrestling for the undisputed tag team titles. And Drew McIntyre showed up. He gave Jey Uso a Claymore kick, and that cost them the match. And thus it cost them the tag team titles. So why did Drew McIntyre do what he did? McIntyre told that he was getting booed from the fans here. So he told all of the booing fans, look, I'm not Dominic. He said that he's earned the right to talk, and he told them that you people are going to listen. He said that he was the most upset by the reaction to what he did last week. He said that he's the same person he's always been. He said if you're a fan of his, he didn't need to explain anything. But if you turned on him, then he doesn't give a damn what you think. And he assumed that Jey Uso would be looking for an apology for ruining his big moment last week. But he said he doesn't remember a single moment where Jey Uso apologized, not to him or anybody else who got screwed over by him and his family. He said Cody Rhodes losing last week, since he was a part of the same match, it was just collateral damage, although he did point out that Cody is the one who brought Jey Uso over to Raw in the first place. He said people tell him to get over it, right? Because he got fucked over by the bloodline. Get over it. Clash at the Castle was, it's ancient history. Get over it. But he says he can't get over it. And he said that Jay and his family cost him his big moment in front of his family and all of his people at Clash at the Castle. He said the big question everybody was asking was whether or not he had joined the Judgment Day. Is Drew McIntyre now officially a member of the Judgment Day? And he said, he asked the fans first what they thought. He got a mixed reaction. And he said, you clearly don't know me very well after all these years. He said, no, I have not joined the Judgment Day. I will, however, be on their team in War Games. He said Rhea Ripley gave him something that nobody else in the world could, Jay in a cage. So Jey Uso interrupted. He strutted on out. He had a microphone. He said McIntyre needs to let it go. He said, yeah, you cost us the tag team titles last week, so no more talking. And he asked the audience if they wanted to see him give McIntyre a beatdown. Of course, they agreed. Out of nowhere, I guess from the crowd, Rhea Ripley is at ringside. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, JD McFunkohead, they're all at ringside. They're surrounding the ring. And Jey Uso is all by himself. But here comes Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes. And they join Jey. Adam Pearce entered the ring. He said there would be no fighting. He said the person who throws the first punch would cost their team the man advantage in War Games. And he said he had two items to address. First item, with McIntyre joining Team Judgment Day, the babyfaces now have to go find themselves a fifth man. They have to find themselves a partner. And he said that they would have to let him know who that person is by the end of the night. So again, the same angle they did with Nick Aldis on Friday night, where Nick Aldis went up to the ladies and said, I need to know by the end of tonight's show, who is your partner? Who is going to be the fourth woman on your team? So they basically did a carbon copy, only now the men's War Games is 5-on-5. The women's War Games on Saturday is going to be 4-on-4. So the other item here, he said by 9 o'clock, he would need to know which member of each team would be wrestling one-on-one later in the night to decide the man advantage. He said there would be no interference allowed, and he told them choose by 9 p.m. or he would choose for them. So again, Adam Pearce laying down the law ever since Triple H made him the GM of Raw. This guy has been laying down the law here on this show. I thought it was a great promo by McIntyre that did what it had to do. He laid out all the reasons why he did what he did. And he established that he is not a member of the Judgment Day. He made that very clear. Don't need them. Don't want them. I'm only teaming with them on Saturday. In his mind, he's done nothing wrong. That's why he can't understand all these people that are coming out here and booing him. In his mind, he's done nothing wrong. He didn't turn on the fans. Basically, what he's saying is the fans, some of the fans, have turned on him. And if you're cool with him, he's cool with you. You know what it is? It reminds me of two things. First thing it reminds me of is Kevin Nash. After he lost the title to Bret Hart at Survivor Series, the very next night on Raw, he comes out in the middle of a match that was going on. Might have been a Marty Jannetty match, but he comes out and he cuts a promo at ringside. And what did Diesel say in that promo? What was the gist of what he said? Right? Was it a heel turn? Not really. Basically, what he said is, if I come out here and I look out in the crowd and I see those black gloves, I'm going to smack your hand. And if you don't have a black glove on your hand, I'm not going to give you the time of day. If you're with me, ride or die. If you're not, get the fuck out of the way. It was the first time really in wrestling that I can remember, I mean, at least in WWE, but the first time that I can really remember you had somebody who really was, kind of in the middle, like a tweener here. It wasn't just a heel or a baby face. That was the first time. But there were definitely in this promo shades of 1997 Bret Hart after WrestleMania 13, who came out. He told all the American wrestling fans coast to coast to kiss his ass. But he was a hero. He was beloved by everybody else all over the world, in Canada and Germany and Italy and France and the UK and just all, South Africa and all over the world. He was a babyface. But in the States, he was a heel. Because in his mind, you people have changed. I haven't changed. You changed. I went away for almost a year. I came back and everything is upside down. You people have lost your minds. You people are cheering for people like Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? So again, in McIntyre's mind, he's done nothing wrong. He's still the same man that he's always been. People are telling him to get over it. They're coming out here. They're cheering for Jey Uso. Think of all the people Jey Uso screwed over and all their lives made a living hell for the last 3.5 years because of this man. And you want me to come out here and forgive him? He's got a point. And those are the best. Those are the best as far as these heel turns here. The ones who, they can justify their actions. And the fans just, they pick sides, and it's not always fair. Sometimes the fans are the heels. You could argue that it's the same thing here in this situation. So I like that. I like storylines like this. So in his mind, he was justified to do what he did. It's not black and white. It's shades of gray. That's really what this storyline is. So that was the beginning of the show. That set up the main event for later. That set up the big show-long storyline of who the fifth man was going to be. And that then took us into a backstage segment with the Judgment Day. They were in their clubhouse. It's not a treehouse. They have their own clubhouse backstage, and they have all their merch, and belts, and everything, right? They've decorated it. So they're hanging out. Damian Priest decides to have a conversation with Rhea Ripley. And Priest told Ripley that, look, I don't care for Drew, but I thought it was good business to have him on the team. And he said that as the leader of the team, though, remember, they all said that it's okay if Priest is the team captain on Saturday. He goes, as the leader of the team, you should have brought this up to me so that we all could have chimed in on this. Ripley said McIntyre is unpredictable. She didn't know what he was going to do. But it all worked out. And Priest said, did it though? And Ripley said she thinks it did. And then she said, well, we should have discussed it. You're right. So Priest told Ripley that he thinks he should be the one to represent the Judgment Day in the advantage match tonight. Ripley said, I think we should all discuss it. And she said that they would wait for Drew to show up. I don't know where he was, but he wasn't there. They would wait for him to show up, and then they would discuss it. We had Raquel Rodriguez one-on-one with Nia Jax. We still have no idea if Raquel can actually physically pick this woman up and hold her up there. We saw what happened in the women's five-way at Crown Jewel, that one spot where she tried to pick Nia up for the Tejana bomb, and she kind of got her up, but then as soon as Nia let go of the rope, she basically just dropped her. But here in this match, we still don't know because at least 3 different times she tried to pick this woman up, and it was incorporated into the story that she couldn't do it. Her back would give out on her, and she would fall, she would drop her. So her back being injured was the story here. Raquel tried getting Nia on her shoulders, but she collapsed. Nia responded with a running senton, and then she went to the middle rope, but Raquel slipped underneath her. And she was going to get her in a powerbomb position. And the crowd was really up for this. Like, they were ready for a big powerbomb spot, right? They were really into this. And she went to go powerbomb her, but she collapsed again in the corner. Fell down. Nia went up to the middle rope. She hit her Annihilator sit-down splash, and she got the win. So they're building to an eventual rematch between these two. Where finally Raquel is able to get this woman up and hopefully, give her her finish and then pin her and be done with her. I'm still not convinced that Raquel is strong enough to actually get this woman up and balance her and hold her long enough to where it looks good and deliver an actual move. Like, I'm sure she could physically, get her up in the air, but she doesn't seem like she can. And now, again, in this match, it was part of the story. But again, I go back to Crown Jewel. I'm not convinced. Raquel is a very strong woman, right? She works out. She has done bodybuilding before. She's very powerful. But I am reminded of a line that Jesse Ventura had during the main event of WrestleMania 3 with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant when he made the comment about Andre that it's not dead barbell weight, right? This is living, breathing flesh. Very different than picking up a set of weights. So we'll see, because they're clearly building to that as the big, climax of this feud. But we'll see if she's able to pull it off. It was nice to hear the fans actually behind Raquel so vocally here, because she really hasn't been over. And I can't remember her being in a match on the main roster where she's gotten any kind of loud reaction like she was getting here in this match. I do think, as the show went on, and it was the same thing in the Xia Li match against Becky Lynch on this show, that this was just a very vocal crowd in Grand Rapids up until a certain point. And then I think they got a little burned out. But they were a very loud crowd for a lot of different matches on this show. So it might have just been a lucky week. I'm not sure that people like Xia and Raquel are going to be getting the same reaction every week. But for one night anyway, it was nice to see the people into it. And if she can hit the Tejana bomb eventually, it'll be good for a big pop. I think at this point, as far as Nia Jax is concerned, I'm wondering if this is part of Triple H's thought process on this. As far as bringing her back. Because the women's division did not need Nia Jax. The women's division still does not need Nia Jax. They have a lot of very talented women already on the roster. They have a lot of women waiting in the pipeline in NXT. So why bring Nia back? Well, because he had a role in mind for her, and the role was to build her up as this destroyer. She's squashing people, literally sitting on them in the corner. She's this monster in the division, this monster ripper, right? Like Rhonda Singh. And you can use that, take somebody like a Raquel and work a story like this, where she's trying to get this woman up and she can't do it, but then finally one day she manages to do it, and it looks impressive that she's able to pick up Nia Jax and slam her down. And once that happens, what do you do then with Nia Jax, right? That's the question. What do you do at that point with Nia Jax? This might be good for a story or two. Going beyond that, though, I don't know what else you do with this woman, because they already have enough women on the roster they should be focusing on. Not name Nia Jax. This right here is probably the best use of her, if it can help get somebody like Raquel over. Now, we went backstage again to the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Priest asked Ripley, where is he at? Where's Drew McIntyre? And then he saw him and he goes, speak of the devil. And I thought, holy shit, Drew McIntyre is the devil who's been stalking MJF. I didn't even think of him. His name never even crossed my mind. Imagine that as the payoff. McIntyre walked in. He said he heard Priest wants to be in the Man Advantage match later on. And Rhea said that Priest is the leader in War Games. Priest asked if McIntyre had a problem with that, and McIntyre said, no problem. He said, but he made the pitch that he should be the one to work the match instead. And he said that he doesn't like the Judgment Day, but he despises Jay Leno. Or Jay Uso. You know who despises Jay Leno? Conan O'Brien. He's too good of a guy to say it. I had Jay Leno on the brain because I was just watching the David Letterman monologue when that whole thing went down years ago where poor Conan got forced out of the Tonight Show after 7 fucking months. And Jay Leno snuck back in and took the job back. Fucking little backstabbing bitch. Anyway. So Drew McIntyre, he despises Jay Leno and Jey Uso. Priest said that he doesn't like McIntyre. And he cost him, in fact, the World Heavyweight Championship. But you know what? He said if McIntyre wants the match, you got it. You got the match. You could prove your worth. Go out there and get the advantage for us. So we knew at this point who the member of Team Judgment Day would be in the main event later in the show. We have Becky Lynch against Xia Li. What did Leno do to you? Hey, look, I used to watch Leno. My favorite segment was Headlines, when he would read the crazy newspaper article stories that they would pull. He would put them on a card and he would show them. But if you really read up on Leno, he really is a snake. Becky Lynch against Xia Li. They recapped the angle from SmackDown, where the ladies had to find a partner. Becky Lynch showed up at the end of the show. So Raw's Becky Lynch is going to be part of what is basically a SmackDown War Games match on Saturday. And still no explanation for why this is okay. We did see Nick Aldis later in the show. He showed up. And he was going to go off to have a conversation with Adam Pearce, but we never really heard anything about it again after that. So who knows exactly what they discussed. But if you missed it, the advantage in the women's match is being determined by an online fan vote sponsored by Ruffles. So the men get a match and the women get a potato chip. Sounds fair. After Becky made her entrance, she's in the ring, right? She's standing there and she is waiting for Xia Li to make her way out. And they went to commercial. Then they came back. And instead of going back to the ring so we can get on with the match, no, we don't go back to the ring. We have other segments to get to. You're going to wait. So they go backstage. This time we're in the men's babyface teams. Were they in the hallway or the locker room? I think they were in a locker room. And they're trying to figure out who's going to wrestle Drew McIntyre later in the show. Jey Uso wanted it, so they gave it to him. As far as their fifth member, Sami Zayn confirmed with Cody that SmackDown roster members are not off limits, right? And Cody said that's correct. So of course you immediately think he's gonna pitch for Kevin Owens to be part of the match, but he never mentioned KO. He just wanted to confirm that SmackDown members were not off limits. Now, why were they not off limits? I guess that was the nature of the conversation, that Cody Rhodes had with Nick Aldis at SmackDown on Friday. We saw Cody in his office. We don't know why. We don't know why Cody was there. I guess that's why Cody was there, and yet it doesn't even play into who the fifth person is, because the fifth person is not a SmackDown guy. So I don't really know what the point of any of that was. Rollins said, I've got some ideas, too, for who the fifth person could be. You know, he used to be part of a faction himself. He can make a couple of phone calls. I hear the other guy is locked up somewhere to a contract with someone else, but that Roman Reigns guy, if he ever comes to work, he doesn't have a match at Survivor Series. If Seth Rollins wanted to, he could pick up the phone and make a phone call to Roman Reigns. Or tell Paul Heyman, and he'll take his phone and say, call Roman Reigns and ask Roman Reigns if he wants in on the War Games match. Roman's going to be at home, though. He's going to be on his lazy boy, feet propped up, talking to Paul Heyman on his phone all night. It's good to be the king, I guess. Cody said that he had an old friend that he would be willing to reach out to, but he would defer to them first. You guys go ahead and see if you can come up with something, and you let me know. And when Cody mentioned having an old friend, you could hear the fans in the arena cheer, because they knew. They knew. So Becky was standing in the ring through all of this. And then finally we get Xia Li's entrance. And the match began. They showed Lyra Valkyria, the NXT Women's Champion, in the front row. And they promoted her title defense tomorrow night against Xia. Becky got Xia later in the match in an armbar. Xia grabbed her hand so she couldn't, get the full grip on her arm, and she rolled on top of Becky. She got a 2 count, and she forced Becky to break the hold. Xia picked her up, hit an airplane spin into a cutter of sorts, and then she covered Becky for another 2. Xia went up top. Becky cut her off, and Becky superplexed her. She went for the manhandle slam. Xia escaped and then hit Becky with her knockout roundhouse kick. That's the kick that's put down a whole bunch of women recently. Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae. So she clocks Becky with the kick. Becky falls backwards into the ropes, and it looked like what was supposed to happen was Becky was going to fall out of the ring. But she didn't kind of get the movement that she wanted. She kind of got stuck in the ropes. So Xia comes over and she shoves her to the floor, which didn't make any sense because she nailed her kick. Why wouldn't she pull her back in the ring and pin her? No, instead she kicks her and knocks her out of the ring to the floor. And then she goes outside to go after her. She threw a kick at Becky once Becky got up. Becky avoided it, and then she shoved Xia into the ring post. Both women got back into the ring before the count of 10. Becky ducked another kick and then hit a bad-looking manhandle slam. This was not like the manhandle slam that she hit on Lyra when they had their title match in NXT. That's the best manhandle slam I've ever seen Becky Lynch hit in my entire life. And I've seen some pretty fucking terrible manhandle slams doled out by Becky Lynch. That was the best one. This one, not so much. But it was enough to get the win. So Becky pins Nia. And again, the crowd was hot again for this match. They were into this. And it was the best match that Xia Li has had, probably in her career, certainly since she got called up to the main roster. But I'm trying to think back to a great Xia Li match that she had in NXT. And honestly, she wasn't even getting a sustained push long enough to go out there and have like a big PLE match or takeover type match. She never did. This probably was the best match of her career here against Becky Lynch. It was a very strange decision, though, to have Xia lose 24 hours before going in there to challenge for the NXT Women's Championship, especially if Damage Control was in the building. And they came out when the match was over. So you could have had Damage Control or some of the members come out and do something to cost Becky the match. And yeah, it would be a cheap win for Xia, but it would protect Becky. It would give Xia a win, which is huge, right? Over Becky Lynch going into her title match tomorrow night. And instead, they just wrestled to a clean finish, and Becky just pinned her in the middle of the ring. It's just very puzzling, especially when you have to imagine that Xia is going into NXT tomorrow night, and in all probability, she's going to lose again. After the match, Bayley, Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, all the members of the Damage Control team in War Games on Saturday. Here they come, all the way from SmackDown. I guess Nick Aldis must have brought them with him, because he was at the show too. Maybe he drove the bus. Took them all over to Raw. So they're coming through the crowd, down the staircase. And Becky is all alone in the ring. But before they can even get over the barricade, look who's behind them. It's Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair and Shotzi. Maybe they had a premonition that Damage Control was going to show up on Raw, and they said, maybe we should show up in case they're there. I guess they got lucky because they were there. So a brawl broke out with all of the women, and all 8 women had to be pulled apart. They had Michael Cole on commentary. He was trying his best to give this some energy and make this feel like a big deal, but it's a pretty tame brawl. They just wanted to do a very basic pull apart and I guess save whatever the final push is going to be for that match. That they're going to save that for SmackDown on Friday night because it is a SmackDown match. We had Johnny Gargano one-on-one against Ludwig Kaiser. Before the match, Kaiser was in the back. He told Giovanni Vinci he didn't appreciate him trying to get in Gunther's good graces by getting involved in his match last week with Tommaso Ciampa. He didn't like that. And Vinci told him, I'm going to do what I think is best for Imperium. Kaiser told him that Gunther made Vinci his responsibility, and he wanted him to stay in the back for this next match against Johnny Gargano. You're not coming out with me. I don't want you to interfere. I don't want to see you out there. You're going to stay in the back because I told you to. Well, Vinci's hearing must not be very good, because in the very next match, guess who came out to the ring? Late in the match. Good old Giovanni Vinci. And Kaiser and Gargano were having a very good match together. There was a clothesline in here. There was a spot coming out of the corner where Kaiser gave Gargano a clothesline, and he almost took the guy's fucking head off. Like, it was incredible. They even showed a replay of it. So that was great. Vinci showed up at ringside. This distracted Kaiser. Kaiser goes to the ropes. He's yelling at him. He's barking at him. And he ends up getting kicked in the face by Gargano. Gargano hits the one final beat DDT. He pins Ludwig Kaiser. A much-needed win for Johnny Gargano. Him and Tommaso Ciampa haven't had a lot of luck the last few weeks. So it was a big win for him. And the heat between Vinci and Kaiser continues. I'm going to assume until we get to a point where Gunther is going to force them into a match against each other to kind of settle their differences. We'll end up with Kaiser against Vinci. It'll probably be Gunther saying, you two are going to basically fight to the death. But Vinci looked kind of amused by the outcome when he saw Kaiser lose. Backstage, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven met with Adam Pearce when they were interrupted by a whole series of teams, right? We've seen these types of segments before. Here comes one team, now there's another, and then another, and they're like sprouting up like rabbits out of the ground, pulling the carrots down into the garden. So Chelsea and Piper are there. We have Natty and Tegan Knox show up. Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, well, I guess Katana Chance. I keep calling her Casey Catanzaro. Katana Chance and Caden Carter, they show up. The one legitimate team in that women's division. And then we see Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile. Now, they showed up because they had something completely unrelated to talk to Adam Pearce about. But Adam Pearce was all, like, he's looking around and he's like, oh, I guess you're here because you want a title shot too, right? And Maxine was going to basically, or Ivy was going to say, well, actually. And then Maxine cut her off and said, oh, no. Yeah, we want a title shot. So Pearce said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. All four of you teams are going to be in a fatal four-way tonight. Oh. Chris Minor has triggered Nia's hole live on the air. Nia, thankfully, was not in this fatal four-way, but he did make a fatal four-way. The winner would become number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. And after they all left, Pearce did his new running gag where he said, I need a drink. I need a drink, he said. This poor guy's going to need a sponsor soon. After the break, Rhea and Dominic are chatting in the back, and they're walking back to the clubhouse. You know, they really should have one of those, like, APA doors that you have to, like, enter or give the secret password or something. Otherwise, they don't let you in. It's weird how they have, like, a clubhouse of their own here. You know, Roman Reigns, when he was doing the Bloodline stuff with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline was full and they were together every week, he would have these nice, like, dressing rooms. They had food. They had, like, blue light, like, mood lighting, long leather couches. These fucking guys, I mean, it's like, you've seen these TikTok videos, right? With, like, wrestlers in high school. Whoever's putting them together is doing an amazing job. I hope he continues. But they just did one, the Judgment Day, in high school. I just saw it yesterday. That's what this feels like. It's like they're, like, hanging out or something, like, in between class. They have their own clubhouse. Well, they walk up to the clubhouse, and they see that Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark are there. They're sitting down. They're taking a load off. They're enjoying themselves. And Zoe was very impressed by the place, but she was most impressed by the Women's World Championship that she's going to be competing for at Survivor Series on Saturday. And she said, Rhea is focused right now on everything except her. She's worried about the Judgment Day in War Games and having the advantage and Drew McIntyre, but she should be worried about defending her title against Zoe Stark. And Ripley said, look, she respects Zoe for showing up here like this, but she said that she was in for a beating at Survivor Series. And Zoe said, good, just the way I like it. Hey now. All right then, TMI. I did not know that about Zoe Stark. But see, the more you know. That's what she likes. We had a fatal four-way to crown new number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. We had Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. We had Natty and Tegan Nox. We had Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. And we had Maxine Dupri and Ivy Nile. Those were the four teams. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were on commentary for the match. Chelsea kept calling Michael Cole Matthew and kept calling Wade Barrett Wayne. What did Chris Jericho used to call Howard Finkel? Was it Harvey? Harold. That's what it was. He used to call him Harold. That's right. None of the teams got an entrance, by the way. We just went right into the match. All of the women, other than Maxine, they all ended up at ringside. And Maxine then dove from the middle rope and wiped out all of her opponents on the floor outside. And she was very, very happy with this. So Ivy Nile was standing there and they were celebrating, and Michael Cole yells, "You go, girl." This is what he says, okay? When she does her dive off the ropes. And Maxine is so happy, and Michael Cole's like, "You go, girl." What a fucking geek. Idiot. So Katana Chance and Kayden Carter. Or Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Kayden Carter. What is with these fucking names? Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. They hit a very nice double team move on Tegan Nox and Natty. But everybody else broke up the cover when they went for the pin. Natty put Chance at a sharpshooter, which Ivy Nile broke up with a bulldog. Maxine tagged in, and she hit Tegan with consecutive body slams. And then the caterpillar into an elbow drop. And that got a big pop. Maxine followed that with a Northern Light suplex for 2. And then she and Ivy hit Tegan with a double suplex. Ivy went to the top, but Natty yanked her down. Maxine tried a flying crossbody, and she hit it, but then Tegan Nox rolled through into a cradle, and she pinned Maxine to win the match for her team. So Natalya and Tegan Nox become number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. Katana Chance and Kayden Carter were the only real team in this match, and they were very impressive. We don't get to see very much of them. We haven't seen them in a while on television, but they're very good. And if you did not see their work in NXT, they've been together at this point for about 5 or 6 years. Okay, they're a real legitimate tag team. And they've developed their tandem offense, and they have, the double team finish, and yeah, they're a well-oiled machine because they've been working together for a long time. So in due time, if you're going to have a women's tag team division, the titles have to make their way over to the one legitimate tag team that you have. Unfortunately, it will not be anytime soon because Natty and Tegan are going to get first dibs. They didn't say when the match would happen, but that match is now going to happen at some point soon. I will give some praise as well for Maxine Dupri. You could tell she's making baby steps. Baby steps. I guess the Alpha Academy has been good for her. But, she busted out a couple of slams here and a crossbody and didn't look awkward in doing it. So she's making incremental improvements here. Now, backstage, Kaiser was scolding Giovanni Vinci in the hallway as Gunther, who was about to make his way out to the ring for the next segment, he stops and he goes over to them. And he told Kaiser to explain himself. So Vinci tried, Gunther said that Kaiser never listens. He told Vinci that he applauded his efforts, and Kaiser couldn't believe it. And Gunther said that I may have put the wrong person in charge. He told Kaiser to watch him out there with The Miz and said, you might learn a thing or two. And then came maybe the funniest part of the entire show, and it was actually a commercial. It was a commercial for tomorrow's NXT, and they plugged Lyra Valkyria against, and I quote, the unstoppable Xia Li. Well, unfortunately, she's been stopped. She's no longer unstoppable because she already lost. So she is no longer the unstoppable Xia Li. They're going to have to change their commercial. They're going to have to change it. It'll be very interesting to see how the announcers address this tomorrow night. The fact that she lost to Becky Lynch on Raw tonight, if they even acknowledge it. I heard that and I said, you got to be kidding me. The unstoppable Xia Li. Can't make this shit up. So there was another argument between tag teams backstage. It was all the men's teams were arguing in the hallway. And Adam Pearce said, look, you're all going to be in a tag team turmoil match next week. Okay? And the winning team will get a shot at the undisputed WWE tag team titles. And they were all very happy. And the teams that were there were the New Day, the Alpha Academy, although Chad Gable wasn't there, Imperium, DIY, and the Creeds were there, I believe, the Creed brothers, and Indus-Sher. Those were the teams that were there. Pierce then walked over to a stagehand and he asked him to get Nick Aldis on the phone, but then, well, look who magically appears. It's Nick Aldis. And he's in a red suit, which annoyed me because he's the SmackDown GM. He should have been in a blue suit, but he's in a red suit. Anyway, he magically appears. And they said that we need to go talk. And off they went. The Miz was out to address his Intercontinental Championship match coming up at Survivor Series with the ring general Gunther. This really was the only segment I would say worth watching from the middle portion of the show. Again, the beginning, the ending, this in the middle, it was all about this segment here. This is really all you need to see. Miz complained about Gunther showing him a lack of respect. And right on cue, Gunther's music hits. More disrespect. Out comes the Intercontinental Champion in his suit. And Gunther wanted to make it very clear. It wasn't a lack of respect. He said that I have no respect for The Miz. He said the ring was for fighters, but The Miz was only an entertainer. And Miz thought that was a positive. He wasn't offended by this. He took that as a badge of honor because he is an entertainer and he's proud of it. He said that he gets it done inside the ring and outside the ring as well. Well, I mean, just look at Maurice, right? The guy, I mean, my God, the guy overshot his target. Are you kidding me? The guy's got it made. Then he talked about all of the superstars who also got the job done that he grew up watching. He did a Macho Man Randy, said, ooh, yeah. He did a Macho Man Randy Savage impression. He mentioned Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect, two Minnesota boys. He mentioned Shawn Michaels. He mentioned Bret Hart. He said, when Bret Hart used to give the glasses away, I always wanted to be the kid in the front row that he gave the glasses to. Me too. See, me and him have something in common here. But he always wanted to be that kid. He said he learned and he battled for 20 years so that he could hope and pray that one day he could hold the same titles that his heroes held. He said the reason those men are still remembered is that they are not a one-note robot like you. And Gunther laughed and said he's very amused by Mike. And he said that Miz has been knocked down many times, or Miz said he's been knocked down many times, only to rebuild himself. He said that's what makes an entertainer immortal and elevates the legacy of the Intercontinental title. He said that he would do whatever it takes to survive and win because that's who he is. And Miz said the thing about Gunther is you've never really been to the bottom of the mountain. You've been pretty much on top ever since you came into WWE. You've never been to the bottom. That's really the measure of a man. What happens when he goes to the bottom? How does he respond to that adversity? How does he overcome that? We haven't seen that out of Gunther yet. And he questioned whether Gunther will rise up from the bottom or be another cog in the machine with zero personality to invest in. Miz said if Gunther doesn't respect him now, he will beat it into him at Survivor Series and become a 9-time Intercontinental Champion. There is another 9-time Intercontinental Champion as well, who he would tie, but we don't talk about that guy. We don't say that name here on this show. So Gunther said he sees through Miz, and he's someone who is just like everybody else in this building. And he called him Little Mike Mizanin, and he said that he was bullied in high school, and he idolized all of these heroes that he just named. He said Miz finally got to become a WWE superstar, and he got to meet all of his heroes, and they bullied him to make him understand that he does not belong in this sport. Gunther said 20 years later, things haven't changed. Miz still does not belong in this sport. He said Miz belongs behind the guardrail with all the other weirdos who were just like him. And this resulted, very bizarrely, in a chant of USA, USA. Now, maybe they're chanting for the network. I don't know. They're chanting USA, which is just a dumb fuck chant in this situation to chant. And I like that Gunther called him out on it and basically said, you're all a bunch of fucking weirdos. So he wasn't wrong. So he pretty much shut that shit down pretty quickly and mocked the fans. And then he mocked The Miz for being insecure. He called him Little Mike. And he told Miz that he hasn't been bullied enough. And then he shoved Miz and he told him to do something about it. And then Gunther pushed him 2 more times while telling him to defend himself. Come on, fight back. Do something about it. Fight back. And he pie-faced The Miz. And again, he told The Miz to defend himself. And Miz looked like he was going to turn the other cheek. But then he starts throwing punches at Gunther, and Gunther drops him with a big boot. And Gunther asked Miz who he thinks he is, and he held the belt in his face. Miz kicked Gunther in the balls, as if we didn't have enough low blows at Full Gear the other night. We had another low blow here. I think that was the only one on the show, though. See, WWE, they kept it to 1. We had 1 low blow. We had about 10 of them on the Saturday night. So Miz kicked him in the balls, and then he dropped Gunther with a skull-crushing finale. And on commentary, Michael Cole was shouting for The Miz to do it for all of us weirdos. Speak for yourself. Now, to their credit, they have done a good job of getting the people behind The Miz with this story that they have been telling with him. And especially here with Gunther, giving him the bully speech, right? You were bullied in high school, and then you came to WWE, and you got bullied some more by all the people that you revered, and you respected, and you idolized, and you wanted to be like. You came in, and they bullied you too. And the thing about Gunther, when he delivers a promo like this, and he's talking like this, and he's got that fucking smirk on his face, he's so smug. He's so smug and arrogant, and it just works. He's got that air about him like he just thinks he's better than everybody else because he is. Right? He's earned the right to be that smug. But it just makes you want to smack him in the face or punch him in the mouth. And he's just great. And the way he insists on calling Miz Mike. Very rarely will he say Miz. He calls him Mike because he knows it annoys him. Because he's beneath him. I'm not going to call you The Miz. I'm going to call you by your government name. I'm going to call you Mike. Mike Mizanin is what he calls him. I love it. So I love the bullying part of it because, again, it's an easy story to follow, right? It's a story that I'm sure many of the weirdos in the crowd can relate to, being bullied in high school and probably college, maybe even at their job. But it's a story that people can relate to, and kids in a lot of instances can relate to. And what do? You want to beat the bully up, right? So now the fans are going to get behind Miz. They have this respect for The Miz because he has been around for 20 years. And they want to see him go in there and be the man to knock this guy off his perch and take his title away from him. Nobody has been able to dethrone this man in about a year and a half. And so they want to see Miz go in there and win the Intercontinental title. And Miz, when he talks about the title, he talks about the value of and the prestige of the Intercontinental Championship. I appreciate that. It's nice that somebody is focusing on that and saying, I want to bring value. I want to restore value to the title. Gunther's already done that, though. Right? He's done a pretty good job of that. The way they booked him has been pitch perfect ever since he won that title. But I like that that's where they've kept the focus here in this feud. So, yeah, everybody is going to want to see the Bully get his comeuppance. Unfortunately for all of them, that's not going to happen. They're going to have to wait for another day because The Miz is walking in as the challenger and he is leaving as the challenger. His status will not change. Gunther is walking in with the title. He's leaving with the title. And that's not going to change. But I do think these two are going to have a very good match. I am most interested to see how Miz adapts to the style of match that Gunther normally has. It's just a different kind of match. And in a way, it almost feels like a clash of styles to me. I'm very intrigued to see what kind of match these two have. But given who's involved, I have no doubt that it's going to be very good. Now, we had Shinsuke Nakamura one-on-one with Chad Gable, and I must briefly here, just very quickly, I must pause to give a very special shout-out to a very special someone.
Too sweet to be sour.
Oh, yes.
It's Silver Tower.
Silver Tower, don't think I didn't see that. Silver Tower gifted 50 more channel memberships. He gifted 50 on Friday. He gifted 50 on Saturday. He gifted 50 tonight. Maybe he'll come back on Wednesday and do it again. I don't know, but 50 channel memberships. Thank you, Silver Tower. You are incredible. I don't know what to say, but that is amazing. And yes, the membership numbers have grown quite a bit in the last few days. Thanks to Silver Tower. We picked up other members as well, but I think we're back, I think, closing in. We're not quite there yet. We're not back there yet, but we were closing in on 600. So that should definitely get us a lot closer. Shinsuke Nakamura one-on-one with Chad Gable. Gable caught Nakamura with an armbar over the ropes, but he had to release the hold before the referee's 5 count. Gable suplexed Nakamura over the top rope, and Nakamura, he smacked his back right on the edge of the ring on the way down. Tough landing, although not as tough as the landing that MJF took on that very risky, very stupid elbow drop he did off the top rope to the floor at full gear. Apparently, he knocked his hip out of alignment. He had to have his hip pop back into place. Yeah, no shit. Table broke, and he had a quick decision to make. Do I follow through on the spot, or do we readjust here? He said, no, I'm going to follow through on the spot. Not the smartest move. But Nakamura smacked his back on the way down to the floor. Gable followed with a cannonball dive off the apron onto Nakamura. That took us into the commercial break. Nakamura took control coming out of the break. He hit Gable with a flying knee strike from the middle rope. That got a 2 count. Gable, he rolled Nakamura into an ankle lock, but Nakamura threw a kick, which pretty much broke that up. Gable hoisted Nakamura up and he dropped him face first. And Michael Cole made a comment here. And honestly, I can't even blame him for it. But he made a comment and he said, unique offense here from Angle. Now that's a mistake I can understand because there are a lot of similarities between Chad Gable and Kurt Angle. And to this day, I cannot understand why they made Jason Jordan the son of Kurt Angle instead of Chad Gable. I mean, it was right there. It was so obvious. Of all the ways you could have pushed Jason Jordan, you had Chad Gable right there, and you make Jason Jordan his son. I will never understand that move. I just don't understand. Gable hit a top rope headbutt for a near fall. He set up for Chaos Theory. Nakamura held on to the top turnbuckle pad, which he tore off. And Nakamura set up for the Kinshasa. Gable countered into a suplex. Gable went for a moonsault, but Nakamura got the feet up. And he went for the Kinshasa again. Gable countered into an ankle lock. Or an angle lock. Cole noted that the move was made famous by Kurt Angle, so he did acknowledge that. Nakamura rolled out of it. He tried to shove Gable into the exposed turnbuckle. Gable stopped himself, but that momentary hesitation cost him. And that allowed Nakamura to roll him up and pick up the win. So they had a good match. I was expecting more from these two when they announced the match last week. We didn't get that here. We got something that was good. It really, it was a solid match. I wouldn't say it was anything more than that. But I do have to say this. Two things. Number one, no further acknowledgement of this person that Nakamura has been teasing, like calling out, I'm waiting for you. There was nothing new. There was no new promo or, he didn't address the individual. They didn't say that Nakamura is coming to Chicago on Saturday and he wants this person to show up. Because, of course, if they do that, that sets off all kinds of alarm bells and you're going to get the CM Punk, speculation. As far as we know, right now, there is no Nakamura segment. There is no Nakamura match on Saturday. That does not mean they can't add it to the show. Maybe they don't want to announce it in advance. Maybe they add it at the last minute. And he's going to be there to, call out whoever it is. I don't know. Although, again, if you're going to do that, it better be CM Punk. Because you're going to do that, you're going to set people's expectations up very high. It's like, oh, he's calling somebody out after weeks of doing this, right? And then using the GTS. Again, I don't think Punk's going to be there, but if they were to add a last-minute Nakamura segment, then that would get my radar up. But on Chad Gable, I want to say this. If the plan is still, and I believe it probably is, if the plan is still to have Gable come back around and challenge Gunther, because he still drops little comments here and there about Gunther, I'm coming for you, I'm getting ready for Gunther. He has to start winning matches. The last singles match that Chad Gable won was a month ago against Trick Williams on Main Event. If they're going in that direction, and he's going to challenge and possibly win the Intercontinental title, that was the whole point of the story. I'm going to come back. I swear to God, he said. I swear to God, I'm going to beat you for that championship. I'm going to work my way back up the ladder. I'm going to earn another opportunity. That's what he said. Well, it's kind of hard to do that if he's not going out there and winning matches. So what they should be doing, instead of throwing him out there, and it's great that Chad Gable is getting television time every week. He's on the show every single week. But he has to start winning some matches. Let him start winning some lower level matches so he can start working his way back up. And in 2 months or 3 months or at WrestleMania or whenever it may be, and you're finally ready to get back to that point, maybe by then, he's earned his way back into contention. But if that's the story, he's even working Gunther lately on the house shows. If that's the story, if that's the ultimate goal here, he needs to start winning on TV. There was a video earlier in the show that I didn't mention, but it was a vignette or a promo in the backstage area with Ivar and Valhalla. Valhalla spoke first, and then Ivar spoke. And basically, he called out Bronson Reed for a match on Raw next week. So this was Bronson Reed's rebuttal. He also was in the back, cutting a promo. And he said that Ivar is not a true warrior. He is a cosplayer. And he accepted Ivar's challenge to a match next week, so that match is official. Elsewhere backstage, Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins walked up to Jey Uso. And they were getting them all fired up for the upcoming main event, right? He was about to go out there with Drew McIntyre, and they're getting them all fired up. Then Cody Rhodes shows up, and he asks them, hey, guys, so what's the story on the fifth member? Did things work out? And they said they didn't have any luck. Rollins said it didn't work out. Sami said, no, it's not going to work out. Rollins said to Cody, nothing for you either. And Cody said, oh, no, he picked up. We're in business. We got a fifth guy. And Rollins and Sami were very excited, and Michael Cole said, who is he? We need to know before the end of the night. Who is this person? I don't know, Michael. Maybe you should go on the internet every now and then. How come we have the scoop and Michael Cole doesn't? Come on, man. Anyway, that led into our main event, which was for the Man advantage. In War Games on Saturday, it was Drew McIntyre one-on-one against Jey Uso. Jey hit an early suicide dive. He ran McIntyre's head into the ring post. Then they went to a commercial. Jey got off a crossbody block from the top rope for a 2 count only. McIntyre ended up outside the ring. Jey went for a suicide dive, but McIntyre caught him with a punch from the floor, and then he picked up Jey and he ran him back first into the barricade and then the apron. And then he picked up Jey Uso and he hurled him over the announce desk. And that took us into the final commercial break. So now we're back. Jey hits a Samoan drop, gets a 2 count. Drew comes back. He sets up for the Claymore kick, but Jey catches him coming in with a super kick and another near fall. Jey decides, I'm going to go back up to the top again. But he pays the price for it. He gets crotched. And then McIntyre pulls him down. He hits a future shock DDT. And he pins him. 1, 2, 3. Now remember, Adam Pearce said no interference in the main event. So there was no Judgment Day. There was no cheating. There was no low blow. He pinned him clean with the future shock DDT, which hasn't even been his finish in over a decade. Maybe closer to 15 years. Beats him with the future shock right in the middle of the ring. It came out of nowhere. I certainly wasn't expecting that to be the finish. I don't think the people in the audience were expecting that to be the finish. And just like that, McIntyre gives the heels the advantage in War Games on Saturday. And I don't hate it either. I don't hate the finish because it's okay every now and then for Drew and other people to win with moves other than what their finish is. We've seen Sammy win a few matches, right, with the Blue Thunder Bomb. Here he used the Future Shock DDT. It came out of nowhere. It was so sudden. So after the match, McIntyre was about to do more damage to Jey. Jey fought back, though, until the Judgment Day ran out. They pounced. Well, here comes the cavalry. But interesting, they played Cody's music. Seth Rollins is the World Heavyweight Champion, but they played Cody's music. Cody comes out. Rollins comes out. Sami Zayn comes out. They all got chairs. They cleared the ring. Judgment Day is outside the ring, regrouping. The baby faces are inside, but there's only 4 of them, right? Judgment Day and McIntyre are on the floor. Only 4 baby faces in the ring. Cody gets the microphone. Now, there's already a Randy chant from the crowd, okay? We're already hearing the name Randy. Cody gets the mic. He says he's so glad the Judgment Day has somebody the caliber of Drew McIntyre because we're not alone. He said they found a 5th member, someone I have a legacy with. Everybody cheers. Cody asked the heels while they were looking at him, why are you looking at me like prey? And he asked if they didn't know it was the Apex Predator. Like, he's just dropping all of these references now, right? The Apex Predator, everybody cheers. He goes, you're not just hearing voices inside your head because these people here tonight, they're right. Because we're all chanting Randy. And he drops the microphone and everybody is cheering. They already had the copyright box on the screen before he was even done talking. So they were cutting it close, right? They were rushing to get their shit in before they went off the air. Because God forbid we cut into Barmageddon. We can't do that. We can't cut into Barmageddon. Nikki Bella's not going to be very happy if we cut into Barmageddon. That's how they went off the air. No mention of Randy Orton because they didn't have to. They didn't have to mention his name. We all know who it was. Hey, Alex just subscribed. Cody is welcoming him to the channel. So yes, they went off the air without mentioning Randy Orton by name, but everybody was cheering, and that's why I said it reminded me a little bit of the Linda McMahon Austin announcement from 2000, although the reaction to Austin was just in another stratosphere. You could say that about Austin all the time. His reactions were just, there's Stone Cold pops, and then there's everybody else. It's pretty much the way that it is. But Jey Uso's reaction was very interesting because, again, they zoomed in on his face. They got that close-up shot of his face, and he didn't look entirely happy about the announcement that Randy Orton was going to be their partner on Saturday because he knows. He knows the last time we saw Randy Orton, Usos and the Bloodline were putting him and Matt Riddle down. But it's so interesting to think about that Orton has been gone for so long. I mean, Shawn Michaels, when he had the back injury, he went out, he didn't have surgery right away. In fact, I don't think he had back surgery until the beginning of 99. And he ended up being gone for 4.5 years. Randy Orton has not been gone for 4.5 years, but he's been gone long enough where in the year and a half since we last saw him on WWE television, Vince McMahon had his whole situation blow up. And so now his boss is gone and his tag team partner is gone because Riddle got fired. So a lot has changed in the year and a half that Randy Orton has been missing from WWE television. He's been gone long enough. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. And Orton's another one who I don't know how many more years he has. I think a lot of it is going to come down to his physical condition. I think he's probably going to want to go as long as he can until the wheels fall off. If the back injury flares up again, who knows? It could be a career ender for him. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully he has another 5 to 10 years. He's not that old. But he's been gone long enough where I miss the guy, and it's going to be nice to have him back on WWE television. And on the Raw brand, there's any number of people he can work with. You know, he may end up feuding with Shinsuke Nakamura. I'd like to see him get in the ring with someone like a Bronson Reed. I'd love to see him in the ring with Gunther, but that's not something I would do anytime soon. Balor, Priest, Cody. Because when the eventual heel turn happens, and it will, I don't think it's going to happen Saturday, but when it inevitably happens, when Cody wins the championship from Roman Reigns or WrestleMania, one of the first people that he's going to be feuding with is going to be Randy Orton. I don't know that I would make that the first feud because I feel like, you know, if Cody wins the title, it's not as if he's going to lose it that quickly. I think you want to maybe hold off. But like SummerSlam, for example, SummerSlam 2024, I could see the main event being Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton, right? So there's any number of people that he could be working with. He's been gone long enough now. It's going to feel fresh. It's going to feel different. If Riddle was still around, they probably would go right back to the RK Bro stuff. It was so over at the time. But I'm kind of glad that Riddle's not there now so that Orton can do his own thing and not just go back to what he was doing before. But it'll be very nice to have him back. And I thought it was smart to save him for the pay-per-view. That first appearance, what does he look like? Does he look the same? Does he look bigger? Does he look smaller? Does he still have the mustache? Did he grow his hair back? Like, you know, does he have a fucking goatee? I don't know, right? Let people wonder and wait and want to tune in to see Randy Orton at Survivor Series. Smart. So the beginning and the end of the show, that really told the story of Monday Night Raw tonight. If you didn't see the show, check out Miz and Gunther. Very strong segment. Otherwise, the work on the show was good, but very missable. A lot of the other stuff on the show really no bearing on the pay-per-view on Saturday. But I thought it was a good episode of Raw overall. The Twitter poll is trending close. Oh, Armed Anderson, hands up. Twitter poll is trending close to 80% thumbs up for Raw tonight. 21% thumbs down. So at least these 800 people so far feel like Raw was a good show. I guess the people have spoken about tonight's go-home show. Well, technically the go-home show is Friday, but this was the go-home episode of Raw. Sunnyman says he hopes Orton comes back with a perm. I don't think that's going to work. Although his dad had a perm, right? Didn't Bob Orton have his hair permed for a while? Runs in the family, yeah, maybe. I did want to just shine a light here on Devin. I don't know if Devin is with us. I did not get to Devin's super chat the other night. So I wanted to make sure I got to his first, because it came in right at the very end. But he just wanted to know what my favorite arena is that I've been to. I've been to a lot of different, obviously I've been to tons of shows in Madison Square Garden over the years. And the Garden, just, you know, the history in it is great. I got to go with the Hammerstein Ballroom. It's not really an arena, but I've been to a lot of shows at the Hammerstein, mostly Ring of Honor. I think pretty much all Ring of Honor. And it's just a different vibe. And I really regret that I couldn't be there for that first one night stand and some of those ECW shows. But I got to go with the Hammerstein Bar. It's just a really nice, intimate setting, you know, for a pro wrestling show with the balconies and everything else. And if I had a vote, I think that would get my vote. Jackie Fowler with the $24 super chat. Rewatched LA Knight against Cody Rhodes on the March 13, 2023 Raw and said to myself, that is a future WrestleMania main event. This time, both men are babyfaces and fighting for, not lighting, the undisputed title. Am I wrong? No, not necessarily. I could see that. A pleasant Massey's vlog channel. Just subscribe. Shout out to Pleasant Massey's vlog channel. Cody against LA Knight, I could see it. Not for a long time. No time in the near future, but I could see that. The Winston Slip, I am unable to chat for 10 more days. My kid took my phone and unsubscribed by accident. It needs to be said that Solomonster and the GWO has made wrestling fun again. Well, Winston, I you know, as the leader of this channel here, I wish I could get you back in quicker, but there ain't nothing I can do. You gotta wait. You gotta wait for the 2 weeks to be up, and then you'll be back in business. But thank you, sir. I appreciate that. The real CSO2, CM Punk will not be at Survivor Series. Stop getting your hopes up. You're just going to be disappointed. I've been trying to tell people this for weeks, and some of them just don't want to listen. Sometimes they have to find out the hard way. Wildbird, I'm loving Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis as the GMs. I'm happy that Triple H gave Pearce and Nick Aldis the chance to bring out their personalities. I am too. It's good to see Aldis finally in a role on television, doing something. Not wrestling, but I still think it's a good role for him. It gets him visibility on TV every week. Honestly, it gets the audience acquainted with him, where at some point, I believe we will see him in the ring. And maybe it'll mean something to them, you know? If he just kind of came in and, you know, maybe he'd get over, maybe he wouldn't. But if nothing else, this will give people a chance to kind of know who he is, and he can show his personality off and, you know, again, get a ton of television time. And then one day they can work an angle where he gets in the ring. Maybe somebody on the SmackDown brand gets under his skin or assaults him or something, and then he steps into the ring. And that could be his introduction to being a wrestler. I do think he'll wrestle at some point. Derek J. Speaks. Ending gave off similar vibes as the night that Linda announced Austin, yes, would be in Rock's corner at Backlash in 2000. Smaller scale, but still kind of similar. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Winston Slip. What do the voices in Randy's head tell him? I don't know, but I'm always reminded of the old era where people would quote the closed captions when they had their television muted and the closed captions were on. Whenever Randy Orton would come out with that music, like every time it was something different. And so like some of the better ones that I tried it once too, and it actually was real. But I remember one of them was, instead of it being I hear voices in my head, it's like I have, what was it? I have oysters in my bed. I have boys in my shed. I ate poison, now I'm dead. Like, it was just all these weird... It was great. It was more entertaining than Raw itself. So, I don't know what the voices tell Randy, but that's what I always think of when I hear about voices and the music. Abyssal Zones. What are the odds a heel plays Punk's music at Survivor Series? What heel would have any reason to do that? Right? Gunther's not going to do it. Who's going to do it? What heel is going to play Cult of Personality at Survivor Series? Why would you do that? Why would you even do that? Unless he was then, the real deal was then going to come out. I don't even know what. That would be an incredibly stupid thing to do. Rizzo, actually got a weeknight off of work so I can join you guys live. Survivor Series is going to be interesting because I noticed that look on Jay's face. That's right. When Cody said Randy was coming back, will Orton turn on Cody and/or Jay, or will the story be Cody was able to talk Randy into forgiving Jay? Well, I guess you'll have to tune in to find out. I don't know. That's what makes the story interesting. We don't know how he's going to react. We know how Drew McIntyre reacted. He doesn't want to forgive Jey Uso. But if Randy Orton is going to be a babyface, then I assume he's going to forgive Jey Uso, because he's not going to be a babyface and be beaten up on Jey Uso when Jey is as popular as he is. Anis says, Jay, screw Jay. Thank you, Anis. John 10. Nakamura done a cryptic video saying the guy is near. Well, again, he could be added to Survivor Series. Just because they didn't announce anything for him tonight doesn't mean that he won't be there. So John says it's on Twitter. Who is he talking about? I have no idea. If it's not Punk, I'm stumped. I don't know. I was trying to think of people maybe that he feuded with in the past. He feuded with AJ Styles, but that doesn't make any sense. And Styles is on SmackDown anyway. Whatever that means. So I don't know. I don't know. Chris Miner, rewatching all of the televised wrestling shows I was at. And as good as WrestleMania 33 was, it did not age well. Being at that show, I thought I saw Undertaker and Goldberg retire, as well as an engaged Cena. WTF. That would have been a great match for Goldberg to go out on. That match with Brock was excellent. Undertaker, look, I was in the stadium. I watched him take the gloves off and the robe and the hat. It felt like a retirement. And then it wasn't. I saw John Cena propose to Nikki Bella. And then it wasn't. But I will say, the Hardys coming out, the reaction the Hardys got when they returned, that was a moment. That was a memorable WrestleMania moment. Be calm, see clearly. Am I wrong to think that Cody Rhodes is not an AEW Hall of Fame? Cody Rhodes is absolutely an AEW Hall of Fame. He's literally one of the founding fathers of that company. That company does not happen if not for Cody Rhodes. He is one of the reasons why AEW even exists. And it all goes back to that very first All In. So, I don't know why you would think otherwise, but I'm here to tell you that Cody Rhodes is absolutely, if there is one day, an AEW Hall of Fame. He's an AEW Hall of Fame. Arabian Night 2000, my super chat a few weeks ago, I asked if Swerve could be a world champion in 2024. After his second bloodiest match, if you know, you know, on Saturday, he is undeniable. Not Bryan, Cole, or White. It's kill shots effing time. I was going to say a lot of parallels between the match on Saturday and that match with Dante Fox, AR Fox, from Lucha Underground. Was it Killshot or Dante? Somebody literally, like, they zoomed in on it. It was laying in the ring. It was just a giant hunk of flesh. Somebody literally left a piece of themselves in the middle of the ring. And it might have been Swerve. So that was a pretty nasty match even back then. But the one on Saturday is ridiculous. The one on Saturday was probably overboard. Prince Vegeta 95. I like how Drew won with the Future Shock. It should be used as a secondary finisher and not just a setup move for the Claymore. I agree. TK Banks. We should see a montage of Raquel training to get stronger, and then she finally picks up Nia Jax. I think that would be a great payoff. Sort of like Vince McMahon training for the 1999 Royal Rumble. When Shane had him chasing a chicken. And he sat there doing those sit-ups saying, I hate Austin. I hate Austin. The Data and Boys podcast. How long until Randy RKO's Rhea? Oh, it's coming. She's been poking the bear for a while with some of these male stars, right? Having her way and smiling and laughing in their face. She's had an 18-month reprieve. It's only a matter of time. So what happens if everyone they asked had said yes? I don't know what that's in reference to. Samoan fan, why was Juventud fired by WWE in 2005? A random netizen just subscribed. Why was Juventud fired? I don't remember, but I remember, but I thought it was in WCW when he had that drug-fueled breakdown and he stripped down naked and was running around the hotel. That was in WCW, I think. So I don't know why he got fired from WWE. Yeah, I'm not sure. Prince Vegeta, in the process of watching the 1995 Survivor Series. Love that Brett Diesel match. You should do a top 10 Survivor Series matches list. You know, I've done so many lists. I might have already done one. I don't remember. But if I did, it was probably a long time ago. It probably should be updated. Yeah, that was the best of the Brett and Diesel matches. They had 3 of them in WWE, and that was the best of the bunch. By the way, the power bomb after the match, the first one of my favorite power bombs. And it looks like a botch. Like he picked Brett up with such force and he kind of like held him up like this and then dropped him. There's just something about that move, the way he just dropped Brett. It's such a fucking great power bomb. Zachariah Sitchin, I'm glad Jay is bringing back Yeet. I was a freshman in college when that was a thing, circa 2014. Do you feel me, sir? So is that how far back Yeet goes? I thought Yeet was a new thing. You're telling me it's 10 years old? Now that gives it a whole other meaning. Abusika, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Although I will tell you, there may be a new super chat coming soon. Stay tuned. Somebody gave me an idea, so stay tuned. Abusika, thank you. Zachariah, do they excommunicate Bayley from the squad after the match, or do they slow play it, drop hints here and there? What say you? If you heard my predictions from the podcast yesterday, I said that I think they are going to slow play it. I think they're going to definitely tease it, but I'm going to say that the actual removal of Bayley, kicking her out of Damage Control, I'm going to say it doesn't happen. In part because I also think Damage Control is winning. So I don't think it happens on Saturday. Chris Mikesell, in your view, when did the Attitude Era end? Was it WrestleMania? Is the invasion angle still towards the end, or when WWF turned to WWE? For me, it ended with WrestleMania 17. It ended when Austin shook hands with Vince McMahon. That's when the Attitude Era ended. Oh, it's Silver Tower with the dancing robot. We haven't seen the dancing robot in a while. Oh boy, look at this. Look at this guy. He's ready to hit the club. Silver Tower coming in with the, let me scroll up there. Wow, 150. Look at that. Holy shit, 150 bomb. I'm always trying to do the Canadian exchange, the exchange rate in my head. Man. That gets a yeet. I think that's worthy of a yeet. What do you think? Holy crap. A Silver Tower. Gifted memberships. Super Chat. Silver Tower. He is killing. No other way to put it. Retro, did you send one tonight? I could check. Did you send one tonight? Let me know. BCom, see clearly. I'm mad I cannot see Cody against Ospreay. That is why. Yeah, I mean, it's too bad because Ospreay had a whole bunch of potentially great matches in WWE with people. You know, Rollins, AJ. But he's going to have plenty of great matches in AEW, so I wouldn't be too upset. BW says, Jay had the look of fear in his eyes at the end. I would too. They put Orton down. They did not kill him, and now he's coming back. I'd be afraid too if I were him. Will Chisholm, 3 women's matches tonight. Tony Khan and Vince McMahon. Oh, look who it is. Look at this guy. There's the vitamins here. This is what happens when the Hulkster, he lays off the juice. This is an off cycle here for the Hulkster. There you go. There's the Hulkster, just without the racism. Will Chisholm says 3 women's matches tonight. Tony Khan and Vince McMahon must be throwing up. I think Tony Khan, his hand starts to shake and his eye begins to twitch. Just the mere thought of it. Ah, the Bushwhacker solo. What is wrong with me? I ask myself that question every day. Once I have an answer, I'll let you know. Wildbird AEW matches are hit or miss at times, but their marketing lately for the product is not sexy like New Japan. What does that mean? Not sexy? It's not sexy enough for you? Silver Tower, again, thank you for the $150, almost $152 bomb. And Boney, looking at all their top title reigns, WWE and the Heavyweight Championship, who had the better reigns, Miz or Mysterio? Oh, I mean, we're just talking top titles? Rey Mysterio had an absolutely horrendous World Heavyweight title run. And his WWE Championship run lasted all of, 2 hours, I think? So The Miz wins by default. The Miz went to the WrestleMania main event. Now, the WrestleMania main event sucked, but he did get the WrestleMania main event. He had a memorable match with Jerry Lawler at the February pay-per-view, I think it was. So, I mean, yeah, between the two, it's an easy win for The Miz. Not that either of them were great, but Ray's time with the world titles in WWE absolutely fucking sucked. I remember when he was the World Heavyweight Champion, like, they just kept beating him and beating him. They had Khali squash him. Samoan fan, explain Juventude's drug breakdown. Sounds crazy. No, I think he was on, PCP or something, and he just went nuts. He was in a hotel lobby. I think it was in Australia. He was running around naked. I think he assaulted someone. They arrested him. That's the gist of it. I'm sure there's some other details I'm not remembering, but the guy was out of his mind. Paul Carpenter, does Rhea Ripley enter the men's Royal Rumble? If she does, that's where she'll eat the RKO. But no, I don't think she's going to. Will Chisholm with the $10. I think they slow play them, turning on Bayley until Dakota gets better. I don't know about that. Dakota may not be cleared until Rumble time or maybe February. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna wait that long. Yeah, maybe the Rumble. I could see them holding out until the Rumble. The Rumble's not that far away. Yeah, Drew, I'm not talking about Ray's chase for the world title. I'm talking about after he won the title, they never had any plans to push him seriously as a world champion. Just take a look at what they did with him. I mean, the build-up is completely different. They gave him the Royal Rumble win and all that. I mean, they were playing off Eddie's death. But I'm not talking about the run-up to WrestleMania 22. I'm talking about everything that came after that. Rizzo. Sean Ross Sapp reported that MJF hurt his hips. Hopefully it's not serious. That would stink if the devil angle had to be squashed. The devil angle is not going to be squashed. The devil angle is not going to be squashed. Apparently MJF, he dislocated his hip. He had to have his hip popped back into place. He also hurt his shoulder. There was I think a top rope Hurricane Rana that he may have taken, and he hurt his shoulder. If I were them, I would be very, very careful. They already lost Adam Cole. That was a freak injury. He didn't even do anything stupid. What MJF did with that elbow drop was stupid. It was very dumb. Respect to him for following through on the spot, but I think he needs to be a little bit more cognizant of the fact that everything is built around him. Like, he is the crown jewel of that roster right now. He has multiple feuds ongoing. He's the heavyweight champion of that promotion. Adam Cole's already gone, so they're going to rely on him even more. And if I were him, there were just certain risks I would have to ask myself, is it worth it to take this risk? Even if I want to do it, is it worth it for the potential for injury? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think the answer is you play it safe in certain situations. And in a situation like that, if you don't have to do something stupid like that, then don't fucking do it, man. Because you don't have to. You're over. You could think of something else to do and the people are going to cheer for you all the same. Now imagine if he was more seriously hurt. Apparently it's not so serious that he's going to miss any time. I would keep him out of the ring until World's End. Like, I wouldn't even have him wrestling at all between now and World's End. That's a big show for them. They're in his backyard, Long Island, New York. I think he might lose the title that night. I think we might get the devil reveal at World's End. They need to do everything in their power to protect him and just make sure they give him the time that he needs to heal up. And if he is, a little busted up coming out of that match on Saturday, let his body heal. They cannot afford for him to get hurt. Arabian Night. Seth should troll the crowd at Survivor Series and win with the GTS. Well, that doesn't seem very wise if he's your babyface world heavyweight champion. I'm not sure why you would do that. Sounds like a great heel turn, though. At least in Chicago. And Retro KOH with the $4. I just watched the whole review at 2x speed. Caught up now at normal speed. Solomonster sounds drunk. Well, how do you know I'm not? I don't tell you what's in this mug. I let you people guess what's in this mug. Oh, it's pretty strong. It's good, though. It's good. Puts hair on your chest and your balls. All right, Retro. Thank you, though. Thank you for the $4. Thank you, Retro. Retro KOH. Now it appears. Was that the super chat that you said didn't show up? Well, there it is. I'm glad it finally showed up. We are at 467 likes, so we have surpassed our goal, which is always nice to see. No, it is not. It is not Pinot Grigio. It is not Pinot Grigio. No. Good guess, though. Juicy juice. Maybe some of that Jamba juice. All right, let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
You're all you disappointed people you didn't get to see Randy Orton tonight. There, you got to see Randy Orton. He's right there on your screen. It is time to be the booker. Thanksgiving week edition. Gotta love the holidays. All right, well, let's see here. What do we got on the tag team scene? Got a lot of great tag teams in here. Really worked hard to put a whole bunch of them in there. And we begin with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. The Bang Bros. Right? Isn't that what they were calling themselves? Until the company told them to stop. The Bang Bros. Banger after banger. Bang her. Sheamus and Drew are going to be stepping into the ring with El Torito is every time I see El Torito, I just think of Bo Dallas doing his victory lap around the ring outside and then just running him over, just barreling right over this little fucker. Always brings a smile to my face. Anyway, Sheamus and Drew here against, what the hell did they call themselves? The Matador. Los Matadores, right? Los Matadors. Yeah, all right. I almost called them Los Lotharios there for a second, but that would be incorrect. Los Matadores. All right. Ladies, be the booker. We begin with Meiko Satomura, the legendary Meiko Satomura, who I believe is still under contract with WWE. Meiko Satomura one-on-one with Michelle fucking McCool. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. We're 0 for 2. We're 0 for 2. We can't get swept away here. We can't get swept away. We cannot allow this to happen. We thank you. All right. Murder Grandpa is here. Minoru Suzuki. Now we're cooking. Now we are, oh God, there's creepy Vince. That's genuinely disturbing, that super chat. Get him out of here. Thank you. All right. Minoru Suzuki. Gonna go one-on-one with Sami Zayn, the honorary Uce. Sami Zayn and Minoru Suzuki is a match that I can get behind. And thank God we saved it. At least we got one. We got one. It's better than none. It's not great, but at least we got one. Drew Russell said, gonna watch Iron Claw. Do you think it will get an Oscar? It's getting a lot of buzz. I need to see it myself, and then I'll tell you if I think it'll get an Oscar. I could see where maybe the movie doesn't get a nomination, but maybe one of the actors, because I've heard great things about some of the performances in the movie. But again, I haven't, other than the trailer that you all saw, I haven't seen any of it. So it's kind of hard to answer that question when I haven't even seen the movie yet. So no, I don't know. And Samoan fan, it's Austin Powers crap from the second movie. Oh, in the mug. He's talking in the mug. No, that is incorrect. When does the movie come out? So like December 22nd? It's like right before Christmas, I think, right? It's getting a lot of buzz. MJF is in the movie. We'll see. It's just, I think the people who don't watch wrestling and the people who know nothing about the Von Erich story, I can just imagine, like, when they realize the absolute shit that family went through. Like, these people have no idea what they're in for. I would love to be, like, in a position where I can see the audience, like an audience going in blind to the story, I would love to see their reaction. They would be horrified, right? Probably sobbing. It's probably so fucking depressing. It's not exactly a happy feeling or a happy ending to the movie. Yeah, it's out December 22nd. It's going to be a very depressing movie. But at least I feel like if you know that going in, that's one thing. But imagine somebody who has no concept of this and they watch the trailer and they're probably thinking, oh, okay, it's like a coming of age story about these young men who, and then they watch the movie and they're like, oh my God. Like, it's just going to wreck these people. I'd just love to see their reaction. Wildbird says, I love the bad girls called Damage Control, but I predict Bayley will take the pin at War Games. All right, we'll see. I'm predicting that the heels are going to win. Why are they releasing it around Christmas? Because it's a heartwarming Christmas tale. Don't you know? Maybe they'll have highlights in there from the Christmas Star Wars that put World Class on the map with the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's the feel-good story of the year, I guess. The way this year has gone in the world, it probably is the feel-good story of the year. Anyway, thank you for all the super chats, especially some of those bombs. Very much appreciated. And Silver Tower going absolutely friggin' bonkers here with the gifted membership. Well, it is the holiday season. It is the season of giving. So if you would like to give a channel membership to somebody, you may do so, although they are randomly assigned. I wish you could pick somebody specific, but that's not how it works. All my friends who want to be channel members, they're like, yeah, give me a membership. I'm not giving you shit. I can't. You got to buy it like everybody else. Don't cheap out on me. I wish I could, but I can't. Here's the schedule. Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. You want to spend your Thanksgiving Eve with me? I would be honored. We'll be here on Wednesday after Dynamite, the post-full gear edition. And then, of course, Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be having my noodle pudding. Friday night is SmackDown. I'll be live after SmackDown. And then Saturday night is Survivor Series. And I will be live after Survivor Series as well. And then episode 836 of the podcast on Sunday. So, and then Raw next Monday. Wow. Busy week. Busy, busy, busy. So I will leave you, since I have to get up in a few hours. Be well. Stay safe. Thank you for all the love. Yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I will not hear anything to the contrary. And I will see you back here on Wednesday night, I hope, even if you're not watching Dynamite. Come hang out with us anyway. We always have fun here on the channel, even if you're not an AEW fan. And we'll do it all over again for the Dynamite stream. Until then, take care, guys. Hey, shout out to the one super chat that came in that did not pop up on my screen, but I just caught it. Thunder Force Oh, I hope Thunder Force is still here. I'm going to feel bad if he's not. But Thunder Force wanted to know my expectations for Fallon Henley. Because he said that she has potential, and he says she's hot. She is hot, and I think she actually has a lot of potential. I was just talking about her actually on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So I think she could go far. I do. I think she could do very well. I was very impressed when she did her Tiffany Stratton impersonation for the Halloween Havoc episode. Showed a lot of range in that promo. I didn't think she had it in her to do that. So I hope that answers your question, brother. I'm sorry I answered that late, but yeah. Thunder Force, I hope you're still here. The kick out at 2.9. Oh, my goodness. All right. I will see you guys on Wednesday night.